serve as, move that out the way. Currently serve as the program officer for the Coastal Community Foundation here in Charleston, South Carolina. And I am excited to be with you guys this morning. Alicia asked me to kind of think of a big theme, right? A grounding question for all of us to kind of get started with this work. And one of the things that I came up with that I want everyone to kind of consider just for a moment, and then I would love if 2 or 3 of you guys would be able to report out. I want you all to think about where you would be today if the people who cared for you didn't. All right, I'll repeat that question. Where would you be today if the people who cared for you in your life throughout the duration of your life, where would you be today if those individuals who cared for you, if they didn't, where would you be today? So I want us to take a few minutes to kind of think about that. And then I will call on a few people unless we have some brave volunteers. I'll give you guys a couple minutes just to think about that. And then whenever you're ready, just raise your hand, your computer hand, or come off mute and share. If you take too long, I will call on someone because staring at each other on Zoom is not fun. So we want to make sure that it's participatory. Kenny, already, my man. Thank you so much. What do you have, Kenny?
Hey, good morning. A mentor and a dad. It was just good to have somebody that I looked up to. He was career military, which inspired me to become career military as well. But also, I think you mentioned this the other day, an informal mentor that wasn't quote a mentor, but somebody that spent time with me. One of our neighbors was a Navy, also a Navy guy. And the days that I didn't have anything to do, he like build knives in his shed. And so he would teach me how to build things with his hands, and it would be from knives to crafts or whatever else. But just that time of spending time working with my hands and learning how to become proficient at what I did, regardless of what that was very important. So those 2 guys in my life was very instrumental to develop the kind of skills that I want to develop, or inspire me to become kind of what they were. So a formal, or I guess a formal dad, and then an informal mentor. They never said, "Oh, you're in this mentor program." They just spent time with me. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kenny. Do we have anyone else? Chris.
Well, I would say that I would be without a college degree, for sure. My first semester in college, I kind of thought it was camp and I wasn't really studying all that much, and the university let me know that. They said, hey, you're here sort of for a reason. We don't expect straight A's, but we do expect a certain level or degree of commitment and results. And I always remember what my mom said to me, and thinking back on it now as a 51-year-old, I think she maybe said this with purpose, but at the time it kind of made me angry and kind of put a fire under me. And she said, well, why don't you just go ahead and drop out, come move back home, live at home with me and dad, and you can go to the community college, we can kind of revamp, reset you and whatnot. And that was the last thing I wanted to do, was move back in with my mom and dad. So I went back, I got straight A's and got my GPA back up, and was, of course, allowed to stay at school and got my bachelor's degree and everything else. So I think, in the moment and at that time, I think it sort of made me angry and irritated. But looking back at it now as an adult, that may have been a strategy of hers, to kind of to motivate me, or to give me a little bit of a push.
Absolutely. Some of that old wisdom, huh? We only have a couple of people, so we may have time to hear from everyone. Does anyone else have anything that they're burning to share?
Sure. One person that comes to mind is a teacher from 4th grade who noticed me. I was always really quiet, and I just remember her caring enough to reach out and ask about how I was doing with a friend relationship, and even calling a mom to say that she had noticed that we weren't talking, and she was the best, a really good friend of mine. So that really, I think, was the first time that I recognized that people really were noticing. So,
awesome.
you want me to call someone or you go?
Yeah, call someone. Let's
How
do
about
that.
Tiffany, since I invited you today? How are you?
Sure thing. Thanks, Alicia. I'm great. Good morning, everyone. I would probably add to that. It's really hard for me to say exactly where I think I would be had it not been for those individuals. I kind of echo some of Chris's sentiments. Just some motivational push from women that were very influential in my life, my mother, some aunties of mine, and some of my really best friends who I hung out with a lot, their mothers as well, just really inspired me and the young lady friends in my life at the time to, pursue your dreams, pursue your goals, like try not to get sucked into like, a lot of the high school drama and just what your mind can currently see and just try to think the bigger picture. So I'm definitely forever grateful and appreciative for those female role models in my life. But I also want to add, like, sometimes I think it's possible for us to recognize things that we want for ourselves that we don't see in people that are in our circle. So I don't know if that would like equate to like a forward like mentorship perspective, but I think it is possible for us to not see things that we hope for people in our lives to do, that we say, okay, we want to do this differently, or we want to change the narrative for that as for ourselves as adults as we get older. So that would be my 2 cents. Thanks, Alicia. Should I call on someone else or pass it back to you, Samuel?
Yeah, let's get one more person, and then we will move on to the next part of the agenda.
Okay. How about Mr. Matthew?
Good morning, everyone. For me, it would be my 5th grade teacher, Miss Murphy. She was really, really instrumental in me getting clarity for my own life, my purpose, my reality really set in. But she would take time before and after class and really just pour into me and give me some good wisdom and guidance. And so I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for participating. That question, the reason why we asked that question really is because I really want people to think about what mentorship really is. A lot of times it's not necessarily some prescribed program that we all, curate. A lot of, sometimes it is. When we think about the things that were most impactful, what we realize is that it was a lot of the small interactions every single day where people invested in us and they just said, hey, how are you? Sometimes that in and of itself is enough to start a relationship. And at the end of the day, we realize that mentorship in and of itself is a means to the end. It's not the actual end. The end is the relationship. And however that gets started, that's what's, puts us all on this journey towards our better selves. So thank you so much for participating this morning. I will toss it back to Alicia to go to the next agenda item.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm doing that, if you will each include in your name, if you'll rename yourself with the organization, if it's a mentoring organization, let us know what organization you're representing. And then, of course, if you're with another organization, if you will just identify yourself in that way. And so, as you can see, we have done our welcome and introduction, and now we're going to go to the meat of our agenda. This is the part that we have tried to offer over the past several months and have found it very helpful, where we are sharpened our toolkit, our toolbox is sharpened with some resources and some skills that we can use to provide better services to our mentees and mentors, or to be able to even take our message a little farther. So today we're going to center on powerful mentoring stories with Chris and Paul Alonji. And if you don't remember, last month, Big Brothers Big Sisters had a wonderful article that was published, or a press release, I believe, that was published, and that was I believe written by Paul, but Paul and Chris actually both were neighbors of mine years ago. So it's great that we've reconnected in this way. Paul writes for Clemson University, but you've probably seen his writing in outlets from the Greenville News to other major outlets. So we're really fortunate to have Paul with us today. So with that, Paul, I will ask you to, I'm going to make you a co-host. That way, if you have to share, you can.
Thanks, Alicia, and thanks everybody for having me. First of all, I'm looking right at myself. Yeah, let's see. For some reason, I'm getting a mirror image of myself here. There we go. Okay. So anyway, first of all, Samuel, I appreciate the question. What came to mind for me was my grandfather. So I grew up in an Italian family, and we called our grandparents Nana and Nanu. And so the person that came to mind for me was my Nanu Paul. And what he did for me is he read the same books to me over and over and over again. And what that did is laid a foundation for storytelling. So I don't know if I'd be sitting here if it weren't for that.
Paul, I've taken you off of Spotlight so you can put your camera back on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry about that. You guys are just looking at, sorry about that. Okay, thanks. Anyway, a little bit about me. First and foremost, I am Chris and Lange's husband. In addition to that, I wrote for the Greenville News for 14 years, and about 8 years ago, I came to work for Clemson's College of Engineering, Computing, and Applied Sciences, and mostly what I've been doing is for the college is writing press releases, helping produce videos, running their social media accounts, that kind of stuff. So what I'm hoping to do today is two things. First, I want to, if you do have something you would like to get into the newspaper or on TV or in a trade journal, what you might call mainstream media, I want to give you a fighting chance. Okay, so there's only so much territory we can cover in a half hour or so. But I want to give you enough in the high points to give you a fighting chance. And then I'm also hoping that that after this half hour, that if at some point you were ever in the position to hire a PR representative or a content writer or something like that, you'll have a little bit of a background on what it's all about and some of the things a person in that position does. I'd like to make this as interactive as possible. So please just chime in. No need to raise your hand or anything. Just go ahead. Just feel free to stop me if you got any questions. But so I'll just jump right into it here. This is my first time giving the presentation, so you guys are my guinea pigs here. So, but the number one thing I think. If there's anything I wanted to get across today, it's when you're trying to get something in the paper or on TV, one of the most important things to do is to describe how it's going to help the community, how it's going to help the readers of that newspaper or the viewers of that TV station. That would probably be the number one thing. I know, when you're part of an organization, you get very excited about what's happening within your organization, but what it's all about is how does it affect the community, the broader community. And I've kind of come up with sort of a little exercise that to kind of hammer this home a little bit. Think of something you'd want to get in the news, whatever it might be, whether it's maybe your organization's just hired a new CEO, or you've got an award ceremony or something like that. So does anybody have something that they've been trying to get in the news or they think they might want to get in the news soon?
Hello, sir. How are you? My name is Terrence Van Blackwell.
Hey there.
Pleased to meet everyone. Thank you for the invite. I'm coming in a little late, a little behind, but there is something I would like. I need to talk with my higher up about the program that we're doing. I'm actually would like to share that because of my personal story of how the different things that I had to go through to get where I am today. And because of that, because of the individuals who took the time to spend time and sow seeds into my life, allowed me to be a college graduate or whatever the case may be, because I could have been on the corner or could have been locked up or dead in jail, strung out, or whatever the case may be. But because of those individuals took the time to spend 5 to 10 minutes and talk to me and put some good word in my ear, that it allows me to be a good husband and a good father figure today. So this is the reason why that I'm part of the program now. And I'm not gonna really get into my program right now because it's not about my program, it's about all of us together collectively. But I want to just share that piece of mentorship, just someone just taking the time just to hear what's going on in your life can change the whole outcome of what's going on, for later on down the line. I got
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have 2 quotes, and then after that, I'm gonna shut it off. 2 quotes that kind of guide me, to guide my life into being to do what I'm doing right now. And one of the quotes is, people don't care how much until they know how much you care. Another quote is, our fingerprints don't fade from the lives we touched. Those 2 quotes allow me to have the fuel to do what I do, to wanting to reach out and to help other individuals. And I appreciate all of you for what you put into the program and all your programs to make this thing work as a team.
I appreciate it. And that's the sort of energy we're trying to get across for you, for you guys, Does anybody have like something that, let me give you an example. So like, does anybody have say an award ceremony coming up or some kind of news that something that we could use as an example? Please.
Yeah, we have a 5K coming up in April, so we're working around the marketing and getting the information out. So we have a strive for in the Nicholtown area.
Perfect. That's perfect. So so what I would say is when you go promote your 5K, here's kind of a device that a lot of people use. Think of someone who knows virtually nothing about your organization, knows almost nothing about a 5K. It could be your grandma or somebody who lives in Kansas City or whatever, and explain to that person why your 5K, why your 5K and why your organization should be important to them. So if you can do that, if you can explain, why your work is important to someone who has no reason to care about your work, you capture them and everybody else. So we'll come back to that in a little while. We'll go through a couple of examples, but that's one way to think of it. Just as you get in there to pitch stories to reporters, just think, here's somebody who has no reason to care about my story. What can I tell them to make them care? So that's kind of my intro. I think when we start with press releases, what I like to do, what I've come to learn, is to start with why. So the number one question when you first start is why are we doing the press release? One thing I run into from time to time is people within an organization get excited about something, and they say, let's do a press release. Well, the press release isn't necessarily the best tool, always the best tool. The reason to do a press release is to let the press, the media, know about what your organization has going on in hopes that they'll do a story about it. And the reason that we want them to do a story about it is because they communicate to a very broad audience. So, some of the reasons we do press releases in the college would be to, you know, a big one for us is to boost our reputation. We're always trying to get higher ranking in US news. So that's one thing. I'm for something like a 5K, you're trying to drive people to your event, get more people out there. Well, you know, one thing that I found is with press releases is so many people toil in anonymity their whole careers, right? And they do this great work, but they're never really recognized. Well, a press release kind of gets them recognized. It feels good to see your name in print or see your picture, see a video of yourself on TV. So it improves morale and organization. And what we did with Big Brothers Big Sisters, you know, we used the press release to put the notice out that that they needed volunteers. So so those would be, I guess, some common reasons. But a press release isn't necessarily always the best. Isn't necessarily always the best tool. So if you're really not trying to communicate with the press, you may want to find a different tool. So any questions on the why, on the why of doing press releases? Okay. All right, I'll jump into how I do it. So I'll kind of give you sort of my philosophy, I guess. First, it's important to have something that's timely, some kind of news that's happening now. Maybe in the past month, maybe you can reach forward to a month ahead, but you want something that's happening now. And reporters would call that a news hook. So just a good reason to call the press. When you put together your press release, you want to answer the W's: who, what, where, when, and why. And I add one more, and that's the so what. And that gets back to you know, telling people about, you know, why they should, people outside your organization, why they should care about what you're doing. Again, I try to explain the significance of my announcement as if my readers know virtually nothing about my organization. You know, I think on a day-to-day basis, we get into kind of our circles and we start using shorthands. And I know that universities are great for this, and probably nonprofits too, but there's a lot of acronyms we use, you know, a lot of program names, and we automatically know what these things are. But when you're talking to someone who doesn't know, who isn't in your circle, you've kind of got to explain it to them. So, and kind of break those concepts down. So that's a good thing to do. Also, with press releases, it's usually sufficient to keep it real short. I mean, like 10 sentences or about 200 words is usually plenty. Just doesn't need to be real long, anything like that. And did you all get my cheat sheet? Did everybody get the cheat sheet? Okay, so there's a sample press release at the bottom, and you'll see that that's pretty short. I think it ran about 220 words or something like that. And listen, you're free to take that format and use it if you like it. Also, this is really important. It's funny, when I was a reporter, we'd get press releases, but then there was no contact information how to do the story. So make sure you include all the contact information for anybody that would want to get in touch with you to cover your story. So, and another piece of that is making yourself available. So if you know you're sending out a press release on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever, you know, make sure that you've got your phone on that day, because you might get a call back, and that's the whole point, you know, is to get that call back. Something else I like to do in press releases is I tell photographers, I try to tell photographers and producers and editors exactly as precisely as possible what images they can expect. So This is especially important with TV if you want TV coverage. So if you're having, say a 5K, I'd say you can expect, photos of runners, people of all ages, just kind of describe the scene as much as possible. And then whenever possible, I try to tie the news to different trends, events, that sort of thing. Like I saw someone had a Black History Month logo in the background. And we kind of did that with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. They're looking for African-American volunteers. So we tied an op-ed that we put together that should be publishing soon to Black History Month.
Paul, I do have a quick question about the photos. So when you say what photos they can expect, do you mean photos like if they send someone to the event, what type of photos they can expect to be able to capture?
Exactly. So,
Okay.
and just describe the scene in a sentence. So you can expect, for example, I know Big Brothers, Big Sisters kind of has a barbecue in non-COVID times. You can expect photos of kids playing mini golf, throwing footballs, and cooking out, that kind of thing. And then if you can provide photos, mention that too. Say if you can't send a photographer, we have photos we can provide. So that's,
and maybe Paul,
yeah.
I might add something to that, because especially for TV, that makes it more visual and more appealing when you're talking about TV news coverage. So if you can kind of think about maybe, and tell me if you agree with this, Paul, kind of set it up in advance. In other words, you might have, like for us, so we have matches, right? We've got a big and a little that are matched. And so we would get in touch with 2 or 3 of our matches to make sure they're okay with being on TV, for example. They kind of have a heads up, ahead of time, and they know if the media does show up, they're available for interviews or whatnot. It makes it more appealing for the media if they know they have those elements that they need to make it work. It's just more attractive, motivates them more to come out and cover it, I think.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. With the first thing I think, and Chris was in TV, was on TV news, so she knows better than I do. But I think that's probably the first thing the TV guys are looking at, isn't it? Is what images do we have?
Yeah, if we're coming back with, we would call it a reader. So if we were coming back with a print story, my producers was like, get back out there and come back when you've got some video or a really good interview with someone on camera. So yeah, think visually in terms of that, and to set it up ahead of time and get your ducks in a row is real helpful.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Okay. So we've kind of got, we started off with, okay, we're going to ask why we're going to do a press release, and we're only going to do a press release if we're trying to reach the press. And then we've kind of gone through some of the basics of how to actually write the press release and some things to consider. Once you've got your press release done and everybody's proofread it and it looks good, then you have to distribute it. So you've got to get it in the hands of the people who would actually do the stories about you. And the old school way of doing that is you get a bunch of email addresses, you load the press release into the email and you hit send, and hopefully somebody calls back. I haven't had much luck with that. Okay. To me, it's much better to actually call the reporter, especially if I would imagine that for most of you, you're trying to reach people in your community, whether you're in Greenville, South Carolina, or maybe somewhere in North Carolina. You're only trying to reach about 7 or 8 reporters anyway. So I think it's way more effective to pick up the phone and call the reporter who would be most likely to do that story. So how do you do that? Well, what I do is I try to think which news organizations are going to be most interested in my story. So in the Greenville area, it would be outlets like the Post and Courier, the Greenville News, Anderson Independent Mail, Spartanburg Herald Journal, Greenville Journal, so on. And then the TV stations, WSPA, WYFF, and Fox Carolina. So what I do is I just go to their web. I kind of am a regular consumer of news, so I kind of have a feel for this. But if I don't know who would be most interested in my story, I go to the websites of the news organizations and I look and see, well, who has covered stories like mine over the past couple of months? And then usually they'll have the reporter's phone number, direct line, or email address right on the website. And I pick up the phone and call. And you know, I just try to, when I get the reporter on the phone, I just try to give them a 30-second to 1-minute rundown. And then follow up by sending them the press release. Now, sometimes it can be hard to get a reporter on the phone. So what I try to do is send a personal email and just say, hey, just want to let you know, we've got this story coming up. Let's see. And then, so I find that's the best way to contact reporters. I have a couple other tips on here. So I encourage you to take a look at those. Give me a call if you got any questions about them. So I've got a few don't do things, but anyway, I'm going to skip ahead because I'm kind of running a little behind here, but that's kind of the cliff notes of how to put together and distribute a press release. I guess what I would say is you guys have an advantage because you're the good guys, okay? I know sometimes there's a tendency to approach the press and it can be kind of a scary thing, and are they gonna hammer us? And the answer is no, almost certainly not. You guys are out there doing some good for the community, and they know it. Before, I'd like to go through a couple, see if we can go through an example or two, see if we can talk through 1 or 2 press releases. Before we do that, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Does anybody want to try to talk through something you would maybe like to get into the news? Do you want to do the 5K or talk about the 5K, or we can try something else too?
If Kenny, if you want to do the 5K, that's great. I was going to say another option is to do the mentoring collaborative, because I could see an opportunity being that if if we all need mentors, and the story, of course, the persisting story is COVID, and as a result of COVID, the mental health of youth is pretty fragile right now, and then that disconnection from school and the decrease in the number of students entering college as a result of COVID. So all of those kind of things that are leading to negative outcomes for students, and then the positive impact that mentoring has on students could be a story. And then, of course, the number of mentors that we all need. I don't know how many, are needed, but maybe if we had a number, that we could put in that press release about how many mentors need to be recruited to be able to help with serving our youth.
Alicia, that's perfect. So you're talking about announcing, the news would be that the Greenville mentoring
collaborative, right, is coming together to support youth in this critical time.
I mean, what you said is, I think, is 90% of the way there. I think you encapsulated what I was talking about, where everybody needs a mentor. COVID has made it very difficult. Has made it very difficult to find one and to match mentors and the kids who need mentors. And this is just a crucial time for kids, and that's sort of the context of the whole thing, and that tells the community why they should care about about the Greenville Mentoring Collaborative. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's we're trying to keep kids off the streets, keep them out of trouble, keep them in school, keep them off drugs, that sort of thing, and that's all good stuff.
I think in terms of too, like community impact, like what Paul just said. So these are kids, as we know, that are going to be our future teachers, our future police officers, our future everything. So we're building a better future for you if you step forward, you know, and mentor. There's the impact. So there's kind of like the so what? Well, why should I care? Well, it's because we want, you know, citizens that are going to be contributing to our society, and they contribute if they have a mentor and push themselves to be the best that they can be when they grow up.
Absolutely. That's kind of my spiel. I appreciate I appreciate you guys having me. I hope you're kind of getting something out of it. Again, I don't do a lot of public speaking, guys, and
You did great.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, it was very informative.
Yes. I do better one-on-one. So if anybody has, if you have any questions or anything, you should have my contact info. I'll put it in the chat as well. Please feel free to call or email me. I'm always looking to do pro bono work for good causes, especially in the Greenville, South Carolina area. So hit me up.
Well, I would like to say hello. My name is Nita Donald from Upstate Area Health Education Center, and I'm sorry for the delay. I had some technical issues, but I would like to thank you just from what I heard, and I'm looking forward to being able to listen to the recording as well, to kind of go back over some of your points. But I think it was very helpful when you was talking about how you look for specific people who you can connect with that could report on your particular topic area. So that was helpful. And then, like you said, trying to find creative ways to connect with them, because I've dealt with seeing that telephone number and calling and getting the voicemail for weeks. So like you said, just have that quick spiel. If you do connect with them, have your elevator speech ready, and then, you know, emailing that information as well. So I think that's helpful. So I appreciate that, because it's a scary thing for people who are not used to the press, as you stated, or I'm like you. I don't like to publicly speak, but we'll do it. But all the information you shared was very helpful, so I appreciate it. Again, my name is Nita Donald from Upstate AHEC.
Okay, thanks, Nita.
Oh, I have a quick question before you go.
Yeah.
Do you have a current media list that we might be able to share, and that way we can easily connect directly with the reporters?
Yeah, let me get together a list for you. My list is it's kind of a statewide thing, and it's mostly geared toward people who would be interested in science and engineering topics. But there's some crossover there. So let me pluck out the names that would probably be most interested. That's a good idea.
Well, if you can include those science, and because that's what we focus on at Upstate AHEC. And I know Urban League Matthews group definitely focus on that STEM. So that would be even helpful for us. So we would appreciate if you would include that.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. What's the name of your organization?
Upstate Area Health Education Center. Okay. And we have 4 centers across the state of South Carolina, and our goal is to recruit and retain healthcare professionals for the healthcare workforce. So we start in high school and college, and we have a medical, what we call health professions department, which focuses on the students who have matriculated from high school to college into their actual medical educations. So we work with nurses, nurse practitioners, medical students that are going into family medicine, physical therapists, physician assistant, any medical job. But our focus in HPS, which is the actual medical schools and specialty schools, is to provide clinical rotations and housing. So we work with the colleges across the state to assist with those experiences. And then we have in our last department, which is our third department, continuing education for the healthcare professionals. So once they are in their careers, we partner with organizations, healthcare organizations, to find out the needs of the clinicians and the healthcare professionals. And then we develop courses online, live, and through webinars to make sure they get the information that they need to get the credit hours they need for their specialty areas. So we do an array of programs, like I said, from from high school and college all the way up to the healthcare workforce.
That's really interesting. I imagine your services would be in demand these days with all these healthcare professionals getting sick from COVID.
Yes, we have been just very fortunate. We've always had services, especially during situations like this, where we want to make sure we stay on top of what's going on in public health, as well as just the regular everyday needs of healthcare, the healthcare workforce. So like you said, we do have for an example, we have grand rounds, and that is in response to what is happening in the hospitals, and giving the clinicians information for their staff, like you said, for the ones that are not that are actually working hands-on with this COVID response, as well as those who have been affected through their own health. They give out information across the state and share best practices. So yes, we've had a lot of movement in our area. We also help the state DSS with getting the information out through DHEC to contact tracers. We develop courses for them. We worked just hand in hand with a lot of the state agencies as we move through this pandemic. So we've been quite busy.
That's really awesome. And what you're talking about there gets at what I was saying about like tying your news to something happening in
Yes.
in the culture, or in the world. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thanks again. And we appreciate your pro bono.
Absolutely.
We will definitely need that.
I swear I am better here than
Thanks
here.
again.
So. But thanks very much. Listen, what I'll do is
You were great.
Well, thank you, Alicia, and I'll put my contact info in the chat here. So please call or email or text if I can help.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
everybody.
next we will, thank you.
Thank you.
We will transition back to Samuel. So Samuel, and I'm not sure, Yvonne, if you're still here, a few of us were able to attend the mentoring summit a couple of weeks ago. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I do have a way for you to be able to access some of the recordings. But Samuel has been a really big part of our connection to the National Mentoring Organization. So he's going to share about one of the platforms that we can all use to help with recruiting mentors, as well as talk about the summit.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Alicia. So just quickly, recapping some of the big themes that came out from the summit. There were actually three major themes that a lot of the sessions and a lot of the conversations that happened after the summit kind of centered around. And the first was really mentoring and mental health. No surprise, right? COVID is here. It seems like it's going to be here for a little while, unfortunately. And we're all still trying to navigate and unfortunately make adjustments to that. So that was a big theme that came out. Just how do we continue to provide supportive services to not only the young people themselves, but to their families, as well as the teachers and staff, and all of those who are engaging with with young people, building up that community of support. So that was one big theme that came out. Another, which I think you guys are probably familiar with here in Greenville, and if you're not, you'll probably continue to hear this theme often, but relationship-centered schools. That's I guess the buzzword that we're calling it, relationship-centered schools, but ultimately we're just trying to figure out how to engage the community and the community ecosystem with the school environment. How can organizations from the community provide support to schools? How can schools provide additional communications and support to community-based organizations that are working with these kids? Ultimately, what we want to do is close those cracks and gaps that these young people keep falling through. Whether you're a school improvement council member, whether you're a principal, whether you're a teacher, a counselor, nurse, janitor, whoever you are inside the school system, relationship-centered schools is just all about extending your reach outside of your professional role to continue to provide support for young people. I know in Greenville, with Edward and On Track Greenville, you guys are doing a great job with that already in the Greenville County schools. So now just know that you're ahead of the curve, right? Nationally, we're just now getting to this widespread conversation that we want to have surrounding relationship-centered schools. We're doing something that you guys have been doing for, gosh, the better part of 4 or 5 years now. So be proud of that, Greenville. You guys are doing a great job in that aspect, and that hard work will pay off soon. The last major theme that came out of the summit was really around social capital. Our introduction question today was about where would you be if the people who cared for you didn't? Where would you be? That really lends itself to the conversation that again they're having nationally around social capital and how you can extend your network to the young person that you're helping, to the young person that you're serving, how that network can be extended to them, whether it's getting into college, whether it's going to work, whether it's learning a trade specifically. We all have connections that have served us very well. Now the conversation is kind of centering around how do we take the connections that we have, the conversations that we have, the relationships that we have, and build a bridge to the young people that we're working with so that they have early on ramps into success. And those are some of the big themes that just came out. I will actually yield to Yvonne to see if she had any additional thoughts or anything like that, and also to Alicia to provide any feedback that she had about the summit. But those are the big themes that I took from this year's summit.
If I could defer to Alicia, I apologize. I was driving, listening to most of the meeting and just gathering my thoughts as I entered my office. I apologize, but I will look to add 1 or 2 statements maybe after Alicia finishes. Thank you.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I would just say that it is probably, it would be worth your time, especially if you are representing a mentoring organization, to go back and look at the, if not anything else, the plenary sessions. The relationship message was loud and clear in a lot of those conversations. And I think, I'm trying to think of a specific, I would have to go back to my notes. I wasn't prepared for this, but there were some really creative and out of the box thoughts that were, described that I think it would benefit us to learn from some of what's going on in other parts of the country. So relationships, just like property, it's always about location, right? So when it comes to students and the success of all of our youth, it truly is about that social capital. So that's my takeaway.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia. And if you weren't able to attend the summit, I believe so the plenaries, I believe, are available on the website. If you go to mentoring.org, you can still watch some of those sessions. If you were able to attend the summit, but you maybe didn't catch all of the sessions or all of the plenaries, they will be available for the next 30 days. So you will be able to go back and kind of view some of the things that you've missed. Also, the presentations that were given, a lot of times they do make those PDFs and those slide decks available to the public. So just keep a lookout on the mentoring.org website, and you might be able to catch a lot of that information on the back end. The other thing I wanted to introduce to you, so with the Greenville Mentoring Collaborative, a lot of the things that we endeavor to do is really make sure that the resources get to the people who need them. I did want to introduce to you guys one resource that Mentor National has made available to everyone. And I want to share it with you guys and see if it's something that you think would be of value to you. And if it would be, would love to help you navigate how to get access and all of that sort of thing. But it's the mentoring connector, and I actually have to look at a different screen now. So the mentoring connector is actually, it's the only national database of mentoring programs that exists currently for free. It's a service that helps quality youth mentoring programs across, let me see if I can just move this way. That way I'm not looking back and forth. Okay. It's the only service that helps quality youth mentoring programs across the country recruit more local volunteers while also increasing the visibility for the programs themselves. So I wanted to show that to you today and, really, again, see if it's something that's going to be of value for you guys. And I'm able to share, so here we go. So the mentoring connector. So whenever you go to, again, mentoring.org, there is a take action button and it says, how do you become a mentor? So the mentoring connector can be used for two different things. The first is really for mentors and volunteers who are looking for a program to get involved with. They can come to this page and, input their name, their email, the zip code area of where they are trying to serve, the distance, and also whether or not they want to work specifically with a community-based, a site-based, or an e-mentoring program. So mentors and volunteers would come on this site and they would fill out this short little contact sheet here. Also, this is an opportunity for parents, teachers, community members, if they are looking to find a mentoring organization that they would like their young person to be involved in, they could also use the same form to essentially fill out and get a list of organizations that are in that area. And what I'm going to do right now is just do a little test just so that you can see what happens once you click that. What's the Greenville zip code? Is it 29607? Is that, I don't know why that, I feel like that's the zip code.
Yeah, that's one. 29607 is one.
29607, okay. So using that zip code, 29607, and we're looking at a 15-mile radius of this zip code. Whenever you click search, what comes up is a list of mentoring programs that have added themselves to our database already. This is not a database that we upload. So what I mean by that is, if you think about Facebook, each individual program, it's up to them to create their own profile within the database. We just manage the back end of it. So all of the organizations that are listed here right now, we're showing 18 mentoring programs within a 15-mile radius of the 29607 zip code. We have Urban Prosperity Initiative, Project Ready Mentor, Mentor Upstate, Pendleton Place, Goodwill, Good Guides, the list goes on, right? So all of these organizations have identified themselves outside of this test program. all of these organizations have identified themselves as organizations that are in the Greenville area. So a person who's looking for a program in Greenville, when they put in that zip code, this is what they see initially. Now, we do have a couple of different ways that we can narrow down some of the focus so that you're not clicking through each one of these programs to find out what they're about. Let's say you're looking for an age group, a specific age group. Let's use 8 to 10. That seems to be a popular age group. So I can click on this 8 to 10 button and it narrows down my list to 6 programs. So there are 6 programs specifically in the Greenville area that focus on the age group 8 to 10. From here, and it also, you can do it by grade, you can do it by the youth served. So some programs focus specifically on gang involved youth or justice involved youth. Some deal specifically with youth with disabilities, first generation college. So each program has a opportunity to kind of collect, check which population they serve. And then also the mentoring type, whether it's one-to-one, group, team, e-mentoring, peer, school-based, or other. So it does have a couple of different tabs that you can narrow down your focus search. But let's look at Mentor Upstate. I know they're a pretty popular organization in the Greenville area. So when you click on their profile, this is the information that comes up. So you have your program details. They serve young people from age 8 to 18. They are meeting in the schools. They don't have a program focus per se, but my guess is because they are a school-based program, it's going to be something education related. They are a one-to-one mentoring program. And here is a description. So this is a description that the programs themselves put in. Again, this is not anything that Mentor National puts in. This is strictly the information that the organization wants to share about their organization. So this gives a short synopsis of who the program is. They're telling that there's 45 schools in Greenville County. They have over 1,000 mentors in the upstate area. So it's just giving information about Mentor Upstate.
Can I ask a question, Samuel?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
so I'm with Mentor Upstate, and that,
Oh,
I mean,
awesome.
that's really out of date. So how would an organization update that information?
Absolutely. So every organization that's in here has an administrator. So all the administrator has to do is log into their system, and then they can update all of this information on their own. And I can, once I go on further into the back end, I can tell you who that administrator is if you do not know who that person is.
I don't know. We've had, lots of staff changes with COVID and whatnot. So I'd love to know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So based off of this information, they're showing, this is the genders that they serve, the type of youth that are served, the family structure that are served, and all that information is there. If this is a program that you decide, hey, I want to know more about this program, or I want to currently get involved with this program, you can fill out this short document that says apply to this program. Again, name, email, a phone number if you want, phone calls or text messages, and then a quick how did you hear about us section. Now, here you can specify whether or not you are trying to become a mentor or volunteer, or if you're looking to find a mentor for yourself, if you were a young person filling this out, or if you were a parent of a child that was filling it out, you would click this here. Let's see. Let me show you what it looks like on the back end. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a login for a organization to show you what this looks like whenever they receive it. But ultimately, it reads like an email that says, someone is interested in your program. You can either respond directly into this email, or you can take their contact information and respond outside of the email. So those are the two options that you have. And I will stop sharing this, and I will log in as an administrator on the back end just to show you what that looks like. All right, so this is what I see. This is what I see as an administrator on the back end. So it tells me how many programs were contacted. Like right now, it's the last 7 days. So 3 people have reached out to these 2 organizations within the last 7 days. You'll see where it says contacted versus uncontacted. So whenever you receive that email that says someone is interested in your program, again, you have the ability to respond within the email that is sent, or you can respond outside of the email. If you respond inside of the email, it gives me a notification that says that that person was contacted. If you respond outside of the email or you don't respond at all, it actually lets me know that there's one person that remains uncontacted. And once I see that, I can say, okay, I can go to this program, be a mentor, and say, hey, someone reached out to you a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatnot, and you have not been, you've not responded. Let me go to Mentor Upstate. So when I go to Mentor Upstate, Natalie, I believe you were asking who the administrator was. So I'm showing a Kenny Gilliard, Gilliland.
Got it.
So this information could be changed, but right now he's the program contact. All of this information, again, it reads just like a Facebook profile. You can put your name, your program description. If you're looking for a specific type of mentor, you can add that information here. You have your logo information. Are you currently accepting mentors or mentees? You can check that box. The program contact, this is the person who would receive the email. If somebody was to apply or reach out to the program, this is the person that would receive it. This is their phone number, the email that they would receive it on. Again, how was the program delivered? So this is all information that the program itself would fill out. Again, going through, they're a one-on-one program, they're in schools, they're also saying they're community-based. All of this information, just basic information. Now, in order to get approved to be in the system, there are 3 standards that we do ask programs to adhere to. Those 3 standards are performing a background check. So as long as you perform a background check on all your mentors, that checks that box. You do have the ability to choose what kind of background check you do. So that gives you that option. 2, are you providing training for your mentors? So again, as long as you are providing background checks and training, you've met 2 of the criteria to be accepted into this database. The 3rd is that there is a minimum of a 3-month commitment between the mentor and mentees. So if you are a one-off type mentoring program, or if you are perhaps a tutoring service that only provides short-term engagements, or if you are a sports team that provides just interactions during the season and nothing after, it might be difficult to meet that threshold. But as long as you meet all of those criteria, you can be accepted into the database, and then you just kind of go from there. So let's see if I click on program administrator. So yeah, right now I'm showing looks like Jennifer Medlock as the program administrator, Natalie, and then I'm showing Kenny as a contact person for the program. So if you guys want to update that, you can update that information, or if you want to send it to me, I might be able to unlock it and add a new administrator and stuff like that. So I will stop there. So this is the mentoring connector. Again, it allows the main thing that this allows is more visibility. If you are a program that is looking for mentors and volunteers on a regular basis, this is just an additional search engine that people can find you on. And what we're hoping is that if it's something that provides value for the mentoring collaborative, This could be embedded into the Mentoring Collaborative's website, so that way when individuals come to the Collaborative's website, they can find all of the organizations that are listed in the Greenville area, provided that the organizations in Greenville find value enough to add their profile to the connector. Again, we don't do it ourselves. We can monitor some of the information on the back end, but we don't add you to the database yourself. So I will stop there and answer any questions that you guys may have. Really? No questions?
I think that was very informative and helpful, amazing resource. So I appreciate you all sharing that information. And I'm definitely going to be connecting more people that I know are in this business to that resource, as well as Alicia's effort. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, my pleasure. Any other questions or comments that I may be able to answer about the connector? Wonderful. Alicia, I will toss it back to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Samuel. I know you're going to have to jump off, but it's always a pleasure to have you with us. So as Samuel mentioned, the website, I do want to give you guys a sneak peek. So for those of you who started coming to the meetings back in December, the website was a hot topic at that last meeting of the year. And we have been working, thanks to Kenny, again, his name keeps coming up. He actually set up the website. And then I've been working on getting verbiage into the website for us. So I'm going to show you where we are so far. It's not live yet, but hopefully we'll be able to get it live in the next couple of weeks. And then we will get into talking about some of the content, like shared values is one of the topics that we talked about. Actually, let me go ahead and jump into that really quickly, because I do want to just make sure that you all realize that as a collaborative, your voice matters, because we are the collaborative. It's not, one person or a small group of people who are the collaborative. And so at our last meeting, we had the question, I think it was maybe like our introductory question about what are the values that a collaborative should share. And your responses included cooperation, trust, relational, reliable, consistency, continuous improvement, action, collective impact, agility, shared goals, student or youth-centered, relevant, relatable, impassioned, sincere, and let's see, what is this word? And authentic. And I took that plus years ago when the collaborative was first getting started and was putting together a white paper and just kind of researching and trying to figure out, where or how the collaborative could work to provide the support that mentoring organizations needed, and our youth and families and schools and everybody else needed. And so this, of course, is draft. This is not final, because this is, again, I was working on verbiage that we could put on our website. And so just to make it very easy and memorable for all of us, I tried to shorten our mission, vision, tried to shorten what our values are. And so I came up with an ABC kind of way for us to remember what our values are. And so the first, or the A, is for active engagement. And again, just based on what you all said was important for the collaborative and what had been written a couple of years ago as a value, I just said, okay, active engagement means that we value sharing information and mistakes openly and celebrating individual and collective successes. And then bold leadership means that we are committed to authentic and transformative relationships with collaborative members and in the larger community. And for all Greenville youth, learning together, aligning and integrating our actions to achieve systems level change. So again, this is drafted, so this is not necessarily what we will all agree is what we believe are the collaborative values. That's where kind of the commitment, because we will all need to, as collaborative members, have something that commits us as members of the Greenville Mentoring Collaborative, and so the values to advance and to promote as the Mentoring Collaborative. So can you see the screen? This is the home page. If you can see the screen, if you'll give me a thumbs up, just let me know that y'all can see this. Thank you, Tiffany. So this is the home page for the website. And as you see, our beautiful new logo that, again, Kenny designed for us, Greenville Mentoring Collaborative, transforming communities through the power of relationships. There are about 6 pages, I believe. So there's About Us, Partner Organizations, Become a Mentor, there's Become a Mentee, and then there's a Learn More, I think, page. The text on the home page is kind of an introduction to the Mentoring Collaborative. And I'm not going to read this verbatim, but I'll leave it on the screen for about 30 seconds so that if you would like to, you can read it. And that is the home page. And then About Us has 2 pages. So there's, well, I guess I should have started with About Us first. Let's do that. Okay, finally. Okay, it went to our story. So now it's on About Us. My computer's a little bit slow. So this is what I was talking about. Our collaborative values is on this page. Our mission and vision is on this page. Goals are on this page. Again, all of this is to be really confirmed as a collaborative that we all agree to it, but I'll give everybody a minute or so to review that. We have a page with team members. As I mentioned before, there's an our story. And then we get to the partner organizations. And this is where all of the members are listed. Currently, there are only a few that are listed here, but this is what it would look like. And then, so for example, Grow Up Greenville, I'm just gonna click on View, and you get information about that program, the requirements. So like the Mentor Connect, that would be based on what you would want listed. And then going to the next page, Become a Mentor. So becoming a mentor, and there's a little bit of information about what it means to be a mentor, and then some links for mentors. And then of course, there will be a link to take someone back to the partner organizations. They can get more information about becoming a mentor, or if we decide that we want to go with the, and that way all of our mentors might go through that system. And then there's, again, a Become a Mentee page, and there's a Get Involved page. So I'm going to stop sharing and would love to get any initial comments that you have. I'm going to send a link to this. Again, it's not live, so you would have to use the link to be able to see what's there so far. Absolutely, Sinead. I'll make sure that y'all get a link or get the link. Okay, so I am going to go now to organizational updates. Dr. Anderson isn't here, but I guess just to kind of update you on where things are with having funding to happen. As a matter of fact, the next school board meeting is a really important one because that's when the funds will actually be approved. And so one thing that I do encourage our members to do is to attend school board meetings if you can, because our work, of course, is very much connected to the work that's going on at the schools. But also, because we are going to be getting funding that's coming through, federal funds, we just probably want to show up and make sure that the community knows that we are a visible part of the community and that we are here to support the overall success of all of our students. And the meetings are same time every month. I don't remember the exact Tuesday. Or bring up public education partners, because public education partners actually does send out reminders about the meetings, and they also can help us with peering people who might want to speak about the benefits of mentoring at the school board meetings. You can sign up to speak, and I think that's really important, again, for the mentoring collaborative and for mentoring to stay a very important, not necessarily, maybe not the most important thing for our school district to focus on, but certainly something that they should be aware of, that those services are in the community, that there are different students. So this is a good way for us to get connected. And Catherine, many of you may already know Catherine Puckett, the executive director for Public Education Partners, our monthly mentoring collaborative meetings, and for us to work together in a more aligned way, I think will help with both the work that we're doing as well as the work that we're doing. Thank you, Chris. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor. We have about 3 minutes on who has anything to share. Tiffany Crooks, she is not with Mentoring Collaborative, but maybe as a stakeholder, certainly with many resources at the community for students and families that they could benefit from. I see, again, a way that we could align with the work that she's doing. So Tiffany, we can hear from you before we tune out, but also if there's anybody else who wants to share, please do unmute yourself and you can do.
Yes, I will share really quick. Thanks so much, Alicia. And thanks everyone for having me be a part of this collaborative meeting today. It was very informative. For those of you who maybe logged in a little later, my name is Tiffany Crooks, and I am a community engagement manager for Unite Us here in South Carolina. Just to give you a brief background about Unite Us, we are an organization that works to build coordinated care networks across our communities. And so our Unite South Carolina network actually launched back in October. Unite Us as a whole exists right now in about 48 states across the US. And it was very interesting to kind of hear Samuel's, message and the updates to the website that you all have been diligently working on, it sounds like. To kind of add to that, I wanted to share that Unite Us is working to bring together healthcare and social care partners within communities. And so I'll just quickly share my screen here just so that you can kind of see a visual, if it will load. Okay, so All right, is everyone able to see my screen? Okay. Yes. Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So typically in most communities, you have a variety of different types of service providers. So you may have community-based nonprofit organizations, collaboratives, coalitions. You also will typically have healthcare associations, and then governmental offices and agencies as well. Oftentimes, each of those different entities, they have their own unique way of how they put in data, put in information, and those systems don't always talk to one another. So when you're dealing with people in the community who are oftentimes in need, and maybe it's a crisis situation or maybe it's not, but they need a connection to another support or resource in the community, whether it be housing or employment, food, counseling, mentorship, no matter what the specific need is. Oftentimes the community agencies and partners that are already in existence don't know typically the best way to communicate and collaborate. And so Unite Us comes in, and we are the infrastructure essentially for organizations to utilize our platform so that they can better connect and collaborate. So you'll see here on the right-hand side, it's more of a closed loop end-to-end solution approach for this individual in the center, who now each of the service agencies and providers that she is getting care and support from are all actually a part of her social and healthcare journey. And so I wanted to, just briefly share with you all about who we are and what we do. I'm happy to connect with you all one-on-one with your organizations. At some point in time. There's not a cost to be a part of the Unite South Carolina network. It is completely free, and that won't ever change. So specifically, if you are a nonprofit community-based organization, if you are a free medical clinic, school district, United Way, you name it, if you fall under any one of those service entities, then you can access the platform at no cost. There are also data components that you as an organization will have access to. And this is very, very helpful because you have the ability to not only record information of who you're working with in the community, how you were able to meet those needs, but you can use that data on the back end from a change perspective to know, okay, what programs that we are offering, are they working? Are they efficient? If not, how do we then make changes to those? And then also using those same data outcomes to generate additional revenue on the back end. Oftentimes we know that data means, numbers and dollars, right? So being able to utilize that information to generate additional revenue is important. So does anyone have any questions particularly about the network or how you would essentially join?
Tiffany, I have a quick question. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
This is phenomenal. I would like to invite you to one of our Center Directors Council meetings. I'll talk with you after this. So I will need to get your information.
Okay, thank you so much, Nita. I'm going to actually drop my email address in the chat here so that you all could just take note of it.
Thanks.
But thank you so much. I'd be happy to join in on that conversation.
And I was just going to ask Tiffany if we are interested in possibly integrating this system into the collaborative. Are you able to come back for another meeting to do a more in-depth presentation about how it works?
Miss
Yes.
Alicia?
Okay.
Miss Alicia?
Yes.
Yes. Can I speak to Miss Tiffany? How you doing, Miss Tiffany?
I'm doing great, Terrence. How are you?
Pleased to meet you. I just wanted to maybe later on offline, I would like to connect with you. The program that I am supporting is called Life Launch, and it's an organization that is actually a new organization that just started with the last couple of months, and it's targeting from the ages of 18 to 24 of individuals who have been previously incarcerated. And it kind of targets the individuals at that age bracket that haven't finished their GED, or they trying to get their high school diploma, et cetera. Or if they don't want to do that, then we also have a lot of grants or a fund that will support for them to go and get on-job training such as forklift, nursing, or depending upon their situation, or if it's forklift, and we'll pay for all of that if they can get into the program. We also have stipends for individuals that they have problems with gas, getting back and forth, or they having stipends for childcare. We also have loaner laptops and hotspots so that they can finish their online training, etc. So I would like, if possible, if I connect with you and maybe offer our services to your platform and to your organization and to anyone else that's online right now.
Absolutely, Terrence, that would be phenomenal. And thank you so much for kind of going in detail and sharing a little bit more about who you all are and what you do. And I think it's very important, for us to remember that within communities, we all are doing great work. But oftentimes there are silos that have been, just developed over the years, not necessarily intentionally, but sometimes we get super focused like on our work and what we offer and do for the community. And we're not always able to tap into what other organizations have to offer. And so it's really helpful to be able to come together and be more collaborative, which is another reason why I appreciate being a part of this meeting, because it's really nice to see some of the different collaborative efforts that you all are helping to lead in Greenville and then other places of the state as well. So thank you again, Terrence. I did drop my email address in the chat. So if you all, and I try to take note of each of your names and what organizations that you're affiliated with, but if you would send me a quick email, just introducing yourself so that we can maybe set up a time to meet one-on-one, and then I can talk about the partner registration form, which is the next step to actually be a part of the network. And so that's a form where we capture information about your organization, who you are, what you do in the community. Also, we would identify what programs you have to offer and what those eligibility requirements are. So slightly similar to the presentation and breakdown that Samuel and Alicia did for the Mentor Upstate program, but it just is a little bit more robust with any type of service within South Carolina as a whole. Will be a part of the network. So happy to connect with you all.
Thank you again, Tiffany. And I apologize for going over 7 minutes. Are there any other announcements before we close out?
Alicia, can you, if they're all in agreement, send a list of all the participants?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, and their name and the title of their the name of their organization.
Absolutely.
And I want to say Upstate 8 has a summer program that's coming up, and we'll have more information on our website, and I'll put the website in the chat as well.
Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Summer will be here before we know it.
Yeah.
Well, if there are no other announcements, we'll go ahead and close out for today. You will get an email from me with the recording from today, as well as information, just a reminder about how to access the plenary sessions from the Mentoring Summit. And then finally, I do encourage all of you, if you can, to attend at least this next school board meeting. I believe it's the last Thursday of the month. If you, Natalie, know for sure, please do chime in. But I'm sorry, not Thursday, the last Tuesday, I believe, the 4th Tuesday of the month. Does anyone know for sure? No? Okay, all right. Well, I will send that out to everybody. Excellent. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Y'all have a blessed evening.
You too.
You too.